Formula 1 is a sport rich in history and tradition. So when sprint races were added in 2021, people were definitely skeptical. Many F1 fans didn't like the idea of sprint races, but it is hard to argue that it brings a lot of excitement to qualifying sessions. Traditionally, F1 determines the order of the feature race grid on Sunday through 3 qualifying sessions on Saturday. But the FIA and all teams approved the introduction of sprint races for qualifying, starting with 3 races in 2021. Sprint races are a shorter version of Grand Prix, and the number of laps are about 1/3 of the feature race on Sunday. The results of the sprint race on Saturday determine the starting grid positions for the race on Sunday. Sprint races also award points where normal qualifying sessions do not. The points earned in the sprint races can make a difference in the World Drivers' Championship. Sprint races were continued in 2022 for 3 races at the Italian, Austrian and Brazilian Grand Prix. It has already been announced that in 2023, the schedule will expand to 6 sprint races. The details of where they will take place have not yet been announced. The sprint races last around 25 to 30 minutes and are designed in a way that fans get to see a short yet fast-paced race where drivers race from start to finish without a pit. On sprint race weekends, a traditional qualifying session takes place on Friday. In 3 sessions, drivers try their best to set the fastest lap in 3 rounds. After the first round, the last 5 drivers are eliminated and start at the back of the grid for the sprint race. After the second round, another 5 drivers are eliminated and will start the sprint race in the 11th through 15th positions. The remaining 10 drivers race against time to set the fastest time to start from the front for Saturday's sprint race. At the conclusion of the sprint race, the order in which the drivers cross the finish line sets the grid order for the Grand Prix after penalties. In 2021, points were only awarded to the top 3 finishers in the sprint race, but in 2022, the FIA has updated rules to award the top 8 drivers with points, with 8 points awarded to the winner all the way down to 1 point for the 8th driver. Awarding more points has allowed teams to try harder during the sprint race, making it more exciting. However, with only 1 point separating each finishing position, there isn't much reward for someone in second place to challenge for the win. The risk of wrecking the car is greater than the reward of scoring 1 additional point. It would be better to have more points separating each position. Maybe we'll see that change implemented in 2023. The sprint race does not feature a podium celebration, but a post-sprint presentation is held for the top drivers. For the current 2022 season, we've already seen the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix sprint race in April and the Austrian Grand Prix sprint race in July. The last remaining sprint race on the calendar is the Brazilian Grand Prix sprint race on November 12th. Sprint races are not a new concept at all. They have been used in the junior racing series including F2 and F3 since 2005. In fact, it was even used in the inaugural season of GP2, which has been rebranded as F2 now. Sprint races were implemented to draw more interest into the sport so that fans could get more racing action during the weekend, with races on both Saturday and Sunday. But even then, a lot of fans weren't fully convinced, probably because there's one big question mark regarding the sprint races. What happens if a driver crashes during a sprint race? A crash in a sprint race presents major implications that are both sporting and financial. If a driver crashes out of the sprint race, he has to start the Sunday Grand Prix at the back of the grid. Penalties are applied to the Grand Prix, so if another driver is heavily penalised, the crash driver might pick up a few places, but if that's not the case, then they'll have a lot of work to do on Sunday. And of course, crashing an F1 car doesn't come cheap. For example, Mick Schumacher's crash during the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix cost the Haas team around $1 million in repairs. Since the fast-paced sprint race has a huge risk of damage, the FIA will be expected to increase the budget cap for F1 teams by $1 million in 2023, since the budget cap was boosted by $500,000 for the 2022 season with half the number of sprint races. It has not yet been determined if the risk has been worth the reward. What are your thoughts on sprint races? Let us know in the comments below. And check out this video all about F1 qualifying sessions. Be sure to give this video a big thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, press the bell icon so you never miss out on future F1 content. And we'll see you guys next time. Till then, rev it up and have a good day.